Hi, this is Blue UK Jazz Dance coming from the Blue Lab, and I'm here to speak to you about my project movement production called Rebirth for the Cool. For now, I'm just going to talk about the project Rebirth for the Cool. The project Volume 1 is designated 110% to my legacy. Why is my legacy important? Because I've made a major contribution to UK jazz dance over 41 years, and I contributed to freestyle dance before UK jazz dance was pioneered. And I want to give people more information. Why is legacy important? Legacy is important because it tells people who you are, what you've achieved, where you've come from, who you got your ideas from. It's very important for a person to identify what they've achieved in this life and to leave legacy and to enable the next generation of individuals to draw upon legacy. And Rebirth for the Cool project came because of past teachers who are involved in jazz and just the past generally of black people in Britain not having their history told of their legacies. And most importantly, me as an upcoming young person, African diaspora young person, very much interested in history, recognizing that my parents and the people, African diaspora people in Britain, had not had their legacy told. Now, if you don't tell your legacy, who's going to tell your legacy? No one. That's what you need to understand. And there's a major impact, especially as a smaller group. If your legacy is not told, what can happen is simply this. If you're in a country, example Britain or United States, where there's already stereotypes about overseas people in that country, it can lead to prejudices, and prejudice can lead to discrimination. So part of my work, it was important for me to start to learn other people's legacies, and I have done. I have learned from other people's legacies. My parents' legacies, my grandparents' legacy, my ancestors' legacy. I learned from studying jazz men and women. Their lessons. I learned from their lessons. And one of the key things was when they were stopped from bringing to the world their creativity, they found imaginative, creative ways around them being stopped by, e.g., they may leave the country. So many people in the United States left the United States so they could get the freedom to develop, learn and train and develop their creativity. And that is across the board because they were being stifled by that word called racism, or the actions of racism, by the actions of prejudices within the United States. Have you got that? And people traveled all over the world. People went to Paris. People went to Timbuktu. People went to China. People went to Asia to find opportunities to develop their creativity, their creative voice within their cultural heritage arts. I was brought up here as a child in the UK. I was born in 1964, and politically in 1964 it was a mayhem in Britain because you had the KKK coming to Birmingham, and the first discrimination act ever in Britain came about. But that discrimination act didn't stop stereotypes, it didn't stop prejudices, and it didn't stop discriminations. Do you understand? And it was important as an individual. What had happened was people outside of my culture in Britain had not known about the legacy of achievements, benefits, contributions, and development that African diaspora people have brought to Britain. Do you understand? Right? And it's very important. It's very important that people do know it because it's shown to have an impact on how people view people. If you have a stereotype about someone or a film or a food, you generally grow up to have prejudices about that food or about that person or about that book. So you might have prejudices about certain religions. So people have prejudices about certain religions, don't know the religions, but just heard about them. Now, if you start to find information which comes from exploration, from meeting individuals within that religion, etc., etc., you start to change in your opinions because you realize stereotypes generally don't help people have a positive viewpoint about a person, a country, a religion, a food, a book. That's why we have what is called independent thinking. Independent thinking is something we shape within all people's education. Why? Because it allows them to, it coaches them, it hones them to view how they should look at another person's country, another person's world, another person's social habits from an objective point of view. And Rebirth for the Cool, my project, volume 1, dedicated 110% to myself, has been created to give people an objective point of view into my legacy of achievements: social, physical, intellectual, cultural, emotional, spiritual, through my engagement in my youth arts, my cultural heritage youth arts, African Caribbean youth arts, which has been unsung. And it's been unsung in a key book that came out on UK jazz dance in Britain. Now it's global. And I realized that many individuals, not only myself, had been written out that book. I realized part of my respect for myself, integrity for myself, service for myself, excellence for myself, ensuring excellence for myself, is reclaiming my legacy. If you've contributed, individuals, you're supposed to be known for your achievements, benefits, contribution, development. And it's unfair if people write you out of history, or written people out of history who've made a major contribution, or people haven't done the research to find out who you are and what you are. You know what I'm saying? If you contributed majorly to a art form, to people's social development, physical development, intellectual development, economic development, spiritual development, political, economic, technological, environmental, legal development, if you've contributed, you have a right for your legacy to be known. But the legacy is not about you only. The legacy is that you come into this world to leave the world in a better place. And the only way that individual can learn how you left the world in a better place is from your legacy being written. Because we've lost the storytellers within our communities, because historically African diaspora people, particularly African Caribbean people, they lost certain key structures that enable people to know their legacies. A long time ago, if a person created achievements within their community, a song would be written about them. Do you understand? Stories would be spoken, stories would be shared within their communities about, guess what, this person did that or she did this. That's how people would know your legacy, and they would learn to draw upon them legacies. And then legacy stories would be told over and over again to reinforce within the new generation of people and those who are living of your same age. Because legacy is not something, legacy could be like doing something today and tomorrow I get to learn about it. And as a person of an older person, I can still learn from all the older people's legacies as they're happening, just second to second, second to second, second to second. Blue UK Jazz Dance, coming with Rebirth for the Cool Volume 1, designated 110% to my legacy. Because legacy says who I am, what I've achieved, in what ways I've benefited the world, in what ways have I contributed to the world, what ways have I contributed to the development of the world, and what contributions have I made to myself as a person is the most important thing, particularly as a child who was not